In this episode, I speak to Callum Irving of Pacific FC in the CPL. I hope you enjoy.
The time's gonna come. What's going on?
There we go. How's it going?
What's happening? Good, good. How are you?
Good. Well, managing, doing what I can.
Doing what you can. Are you gaining weight yet? Because I'm like, it's getting there.
It's tough. It's tough. They just closed most fields and parks here, so I got to get creative now with my
Yeah,
workouts.
of course. Yeah. You gotta do your stuff at home.
Yeah.
I did something I haven't done for like maybe 10 years, which is trim my beard really small.
I thought about doing that. I've been on the verge of shaving my beard off.
Yeah,
It's been a long
yeah.
time.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Let's just make a change. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's nice to see you. Do you have can you see your image really well? Because it's let me see. Is your
Am I
internet
pixelated?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, okay. For me and you, we both look good to me, but I guess
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay, then it should be me here. It's all good. So
Okay.
let's get this going because we're gonna talk a little bit about a lot of things about your career, what you're doing right now, how
Yeah.
you're hanging in there with
Mhm.
with everything and things in life in general. Okay, so
Yeah.
start by telling your name, the team you play for right now, and what country you're in. Canada, and
Yep.
your nationality Canadian. So go for it.
Well, you
Introduce
just answered a
yourself.
couple of them there for me. But yeah, Callum Irving, goalkeeper from I played for Pacific FC in the Canadian Premier League, and like Carlos said, Canadian. Oh wow, look at that, Spencer boys. Callum Irving is the best keeper known to me. Look, I have great fans. I just have great fans.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Canadian and playing Canada, so very lucky.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about your journey as a professional, where you've been. We're obviously going to talk a little bit about the Ottawa Fury, the CPL, the CPL. We're going to talk a little bit about everything. But I have a few questions that I'm going to want to ask you, and then
Yep.
you answer them as best as you can, so that I'll say so that other people get to know you a little bit more too. People that don't know you. I know the ones that know you, they know everything about you, but the ones that don't know you, that follow you, will, they'll get to know you a little bit better. Because I know you're not a guy that does this stuff very often, right? So,
No, yeah, the first time going live, so
so it's fun though. It's fun though.
yeah.
So the first thing I want to know is, do you have a favorite sports hero or an inspiration like that you've had? Like, do you have one, or did you have one as a young athlete?
I mean, just inspiration in general has always been my dad. But as far as a sports hero goes, like an actual professional athlete, there's been a lot along the road. I mean, as a goalkeeper, I always looked up to Iker Casillas, and then pretty much whoever was playing in goal for Manchester United because they were my favorite team.
Yeah.
And then soccer-wise in general, I was when I started watching soccer, it was David Beckham for Manchester United back in the day.
Yeah.
That was the guy that I turned on Sportsnet when I was a kid and was up at 7 a.m. watching, and United was on every weekend, and David Beckham with his hair and number 7 and the white Predators and all that. That kind of was like, whoa, here we go. This guy's somebody I want to watch
So
week in, week out. So.
your dream is to make it either to Manchester United or play for Inter Miami FC.
If honestly, I see all those pictures that Beckham posts of like guys signing for Inter, and I'm like, all I would need to do is sign a 1-day contract just so you could acknowledge my existence. That's all I need.
It's funny because I actually know John McCarthy, and I've had talks with him. He just as a goalkeeper there.
Yeah, he moved from Tampa, right?
Yeah, and yeah. So let's go to number 2. Give me 3 reasons you like being a part of a team sport.
3 reasons I like being part of a team sport. I mean, the camaraderie in the locker room, I think that's probably number 1. When you show up to work every day, it's always fun to show up and be able to, banter with the lads before training and after. And that kind of leaks into number two, which is probably, you're sharing in the highs and the lows. It makes the highs a lot better, and it makes the lows a lot easier to deal with when you're not on your own. And then number three would be, you can blame all your mistakes on somebody else. It's not all on you.
That's a really good one. Okay. So what's the best part about competing? So like, what you're feeling? What do you feel is the best thing about competing in the game?
I'd say the fact that we as athletes put so much work into what we do. I think it's always rewarding when you get to use that in a competition, because for me, it's all about the process rather than the outcome. And so it's all about putting in the work day in, day out. And then when it comes to the actual competition, it's just about enjoying it and putting everything that you've done into that. And then whatever the outcome is, you can be happy with. But I think it's just that it's the best part of it. You get to test yourself, and win or lose, if you put in the work, you've given everything.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much work put into being ready for the weekend to play, right?
Yeah.
For game days, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot involved other than just getting on a field and in terms of goalkeeping.
Yeah.
Or in terms of sport in general, getting all the preparation, right? Done behind the scenes. All right. So you talked about the process, right? So what about and you talked about how your teammates and you like being in a team environment.
Yeah.
So give me an example of things that your teammates do or that you even do to make it fun.
To make it fun. I mean, there's, for example, on teams I've been on, we have fine systems where, there are things within the locker room that you can do to get fined, whether that's showing up late, having your phone go off at the wrong time, or whatever it is. And I think you can always have a lot of fun with that kind of banter within the locker room. If a guy makes a questionable social media post or, does something like that, you can always bring it up, and then that's always a lot of fun. And then just honestly, some of the best times that I have with teammates is before official training starts. So you get your boots on, you get everything, and you get out to the field, and you play two touch, or you play some rondos, or you just kick the ball around and talk about stuff. But that's generally one of the best times of the day, and one of the best parts of training is that little kind of bit beforehand. What about what?
Pranks. No
pranks?
Yeah.
Pranks. I mean, to be fair, there have been in the past, not as much on the teams I've been on recently, but I know for back in the day, if somebody were to show up with a questionable outfit, back when I was, an early pro, if somebody showed up with a questionable outfit and they went out to training, somebody would hang their clothes from the ceiling. So like, our old locker room in Ottawa, we had really high ceilings, and somehow somebody got up there and put a guy's whole outfit on a hanger and hung it from the roof, and he could barely get up there and try and take it down. So things like that are always funny, and bring I mean, depends on how the guy reacts. Sometimes people don't take it the right way, but I think the majority of the team enjoys it, which matters the most.
I think in general,
yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to the next one. Do you have like a favorite sports quote or a favorite quote that really hits you, I'll call it motivates?
Yeah, I'd say probably the most motivational quote for me, and the thing that helped me the most was focusing on what you can control. And it's just a really simple little quote, and I got it from a book called Mind Gym, which was recommended to me from a coach in the past. And that quote just, I read that, and it was in regards to, so many times as a young footballer, you're stressed out about what the coach may think. You're stressed out about, not getting picked. You're stressed out about feeling like things are unfair, like, training isn't suited for you, or, other guys are potentially doing better. But once you learn to focus on the things that you have control over, which are pretty much your work ethic, your attitude, and how much of a team player you want to be. Once you focus on those things, and there's a few others, you find that your life becomes so much more enjoyable. Your career becomes so much more enjoyable because you're not stressed out about all these things that you have no control over. The coach will pick the team regardless. So you just need to put your best foot forward, train as hard as you can, support your team, and then at the end of the day, if things don't go the way you want them to, you can at least look back and be happy with what you did and not bitter about everything.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. So when things do go the way you go, the way you want, I'll call it that. When you play, and then you play an amazing game. Let's say you have an amazing game. How do you feel when you play well? How about that?
It's kind of like you feel weightless, honestly, sometimes. Like I remember when my first year of playing professionally, it was 2016, and my first 3-4 months of the year were pretty difficult. Went through some ups and downs trying to find the right fit professionally and coming out of college, trying to find out what to do. And then when I finally got in my first pro game, I had a very solid game. Nothing absolutely unreal, but a very solid game. And when I finished the game, it was like all these weights were lifted off my shoulders. I was like, this is the feeling that I've been missing for the last, 4 or 5 months, is getting out onto the pitch. And, it doesn't even need to be a spectacular game, but it just, play to the ability that you have. And it just feels like everything kind of in your life settles down, and you're not burdened by so much. And I think that that's, a feeling that we all look for in all parts of our life, where the job that we do, when we do it well, kind of, brings peace to everything.
You did what you had to do.
Exactly, and that kind of brings peace to everything.
Yeah. So, when you play, and this happens a lot where you can't have everybody that you would like to watching you play,
Mm-hmm.
who would be the most important person or people that you would really, that if you could, you'd have on the stand every game?
Yeah, it would be, if I could pick more than one person, it would be my family. Like, I think most other people. My dad is the main one. He's the one that was with me, from the beginning till now, driving me to games, taking off work or doing, like, literally, I don't know how he did it, but, making sure that I had every opportunity possible to try and succeed. And he's come out and visit a few times in the different places I've played. Sometimes surprised me, which has always meant a lot. So anytime that he's able to be in the stands, it's obviously something I'm excited about. And then now that I'm close to home on Vancouver Island, hopefully I'll be able to get more family out this season, and that'll be a really special moment.
That'll be awesome. Playing at home is phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right, so let's change it up. So we're gonna go a little bit into pregame. What do you? I would see a lot of guys, like, they listen to music and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have specific music that you like to listen to prior to a game? Do you have something that really pumps you up, like a song or something?
For me, I listen to music on the way to the game, and then as soon as I arrive at the locker room, I just cut it all out and I'm focused on, the preparation. But I don't know. I used to try and listen to music that would pump me up, whether that was rap or house music or whatever, something that would be kind of energetic. And then I switched it up and went to really relaxing music because I was thinking I was trying to amp myself up too much.
Yeah.
And now I've just switched to focusing on what, I play whatever music I like at the moment. So it could literally be a boy band if I liked a song by a boy band at the time, or it could be, a new song by Drake or a rock song or a classical song. But it's kind of just whatever puts, look at this guy, Chris Manella, lads. Best goalkeeping stuff out there. Oh, man. And here we go, Jason. Sorry, I'm going off on these comments. How do you prepare for AAT time? Any feelings? Oh, man. Well, first of all, Chris, NGA is the best goalkeeping stuff out there. I expect you to know that if you were a goalkeeper, those are the gloves that you would wear. Jason, how do I prepare for 8 a.m. tea time? Try and get 8 hours of sleep. Make sure I get a nice, egg breakfast, whether, get some scrambled eggs in me, and make sure I have a coffee when I arrive to that first tee because I'm going to need it. All right, we can go back to the questions now. I just had to answer those guys.
Yeah. So we were talking about the music, right? The preparation. I guess it also
Yeah.
depends on the person, because some or the position you're playing too. Because if you're as a goalkeeper, I would say it's so important that you're focused. You're not too hyper,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't make a wrong decision. That's the reality. And then if you're probably a guy who plays forward or as a winger or something, would
Yeah.
Jason. I'm laughing at Jason. Then some more music that you can, get pumped. So
Yeah, no, I think that was my problem is I was trying to get too amped up, and then you try and have an effect on a game as a keeper when really, if you have a good game as a keeper, they didn't even know you were there, right? That's like the perfect game is you do your job. It's all simple and come out of there with a clean sheet, and so yeah, I think that's definitely something to think about.
All right, now movies. You watch movies. Do you have like a favorite movie?
Favorite sports movie. Favorite sports movie. Oh man, it'll probably suck. I'll probably forget a good one. I mean, I always remember watching Remember the Titans when I was younger.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington. That's a great football movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some funny ones too, like Slapshot from back in the day, the hockey movie. That's a funny movie.
Yeah.
Soccer wise, goal was always a cool one for soccer players.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, those are some good ones. I think there's a lot of good sports movies out there.
Yeah, there is. Now, regarding, we're going to talk a little bit about teammates and captains, right? You've probably played with a few, and we're not going to. It's what do you feel is a quality that is very important for a captain to have? Because usually we talk about a captain being a leader. It could be their personality, it could be their, or maybe even a group of qualities or about a person that you think are super important for them to be a captain.
Yeah, I think accountability is a big one. I think as a leader and as a captain, you need to be able to, if you're going to be judging everybody or trying to lift everybody up, I think it starts with yourself. You have to be accountable and be putting in the work every day and following the rules and, just be somebody that people can look to as an example. And so I think for me, that's the kind of basis of anybody that wants to be a leader is you have to lead yourself first, and then, then you can lead others.
Yeah, lead by example. Oh,
yeah.
That makes sense. So now, if you were to play another sport or another position, what would it be? I know you're all into golfing and stuff. So
I don't know if I could play golf professionally. I like golf a lot.
Let's say you had the talent to play any sport right now.
Okay, if I had the talent to play any other sport, I think I'd want to play basketball.
What would be the sport you want to play?
I think I'd want to play basketball.
Basketball? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really into basketball these days. I mean, I've kind of always somewhat been into basketball, but more so nowadays. And I think it's such a great sport because it's the kind of sport that if you put in the work, like you will get something out of it because it's so like you can do so much. Basically, you have to do so much solo work, right? So you have to go to the gym and put up shots and do all that. And so I have so much respect for basketball players who, put in the time. You look at somebody like Steve Nash, not the biggest guy, he's from Victoria, and he ended up being a 2-time MVP because he literally put in so much time into his craft, right? And that directly translated onto the court. So I think if I could be a pro, I think it would be pretty sweet to get on the court and play alongside LeBron James.
No, that would be nice, right?
Yeah.
All right. So next one. You said about another sport, but what if you played another position in soccer? What would that position be?
With my skill set now, or what?
If you have
if I could play anywhere,
you still be a keeper.
Well, yeah, I mean, once you're a keeper, you're a keeper. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Geez, I don't know. I think there's benefits to everywhere. It's hard to just be like, oh, I'd love to be a 9 and just score goals. But I think honestly, I'd love to be an 8. Somebody that's kind of all over the field. Connecting play, defending, scoring. Like somebody like like a Lampard, Gerrard type player where they're just all over.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't give me a Manchester United name for number 8.
Well, like, you know, you could go for like a Paul Scholes, somebody like that that just sprays passes. You know, even Paul Pogba in his prime, you know, when he's running up and down the field both ways.
Yeah. All right, next one. Now we're going to talk about food. What is your favorite food to eat right before a big game or a big competition or just a game in general? Because like usually we just follow certain guidelines and we do it. We have a pre-game ritual, but what do you like to make sure you eat before a game? We'll say it like that.
I mean, it's pretty much the basic staples where, you know, it's like a protein, a carb, and some greens. So for me, I like some chicken, some sweet potatoes, some broccoli, and a salad. That pretty much does the trick for me.
Yeah. One thing that I hear differently is like not regarding what you eat, which is important, but like how what do you feel like? How much time before the game do you think you should eat?
I look at it as like before I get out for warm up, because that's like when my physical activity begins.
Yeah.
I try and eat, for me as a goalkeeper, because I know I'm not going to be running around. I try and leave it a little bit later so I have a bit more in me. I find if I eat, you know, like how they say 3.5 hours before a game, by the time I get to game time, I'm already hungry again and I'm feeling a little bit empty. So for me, it's something more like around the 2-hour mark, and then I'm feeling a little bit more fueled for the entirety of the game. And then, you know, maybe at halftime I get a little like bite of something in just to refuel for the second half.
I feel like I'm saying the full meal. Like one thing is a snack before you go in for
like I'll eat like that full like chicken and everything like that like 2 hours before. Like so if we have to warm up at 6, I'm eating at like 4 o'clock.
Okay. Cool. All right. So tell me what one word that you can say describes you.
What word?
Yeah, one word that describes you.
One word that describes me. I'll say genuine.
Genuine.
Yeah. I try to be myself regardless of the situation or, you know, who I'm talking to or dealing with. And, you know, whether that's off the field, you know, with friends or family or, you know, on the field, I try to stay true to who I am. And, again, that kind of goes into the whole accountability thing. I think you need to try and hold yourself accountable at all times and not flip-flop with things. So, again, I'm not perfect, but I try and do my best to be genuine with the coaches and with my teammates and kind of everything I do.
And that's very important. Now, talking about coaches, have you had a coach in your career that really impacted you in a specific way, like for the good? Not the better coach, the worst coach, like somebody who impacted you. It could be anybody. Like, do you have somebody, head coach, an assistant coach, someone who impacted you in your life, in your career as well?
I'd say probably one of the more significant coaches for me was goalkeeper coach Reagan Hall with the Whitecaps. He was with me when I joined the prospect program, which is before the residency program in Vancouver back in the day, before it was all kind of like very, you know, from the youth all the way up to the first team. It was a little more, it wasn't a structure. He really helped me refine my technique, and he also helped me with the mental side of the game. So I told you before about that Mind Gym book and focus on what you can control. So he's the one that gave me that book, and he's the one that, you know, was there with me when I was in those late teen years of trying to, you know, deal with, you know, I feel like I'm good enough. Why am I not getting, you know, gratification from the coach? Why is he not, you know, giving me compliments? Why am I not getting game time? Why are they bringing down a different keeper to play the games, you know? So he was the one that was kind of dealing with me in those times. And sometimes, you know, he'd put his arm around me, and other times he'd give me a kick in the butt and, you know, just say I needed to work harder. So he's somebody that I remain in contact with. Somebody that still, you know, will help me out and bring me into training in the off season. And again, just a genuine person who's been the same guy since I was 16. And wow, that's a long time ago now, 11 years. That's crazy to think about. That, you know, he's been super supportive throughout. And I've been lucky and fortunate enough to have a lot of people that are like that in my life, but that's one obviously that just kind of stands out over a
I
long
find
period of
everybody
time.
I talk to, there's always a coach in their youth program that really does that for them.
Yeah, yeah,
And this, and it's funny because I ask this question a lot because I think in general the youth coaches are really undervalued, but they do really important work in terms of the development, and they're super instrumental in terms of when players make it to a high level.
hmm
Usually, there's that one coach that they have in their youth development that really helped them to achieve so much, and that so much sometimes is just being able to control your emotions or
yeah,
control, you know, it's just that those type of things. I find that so important, and I find it's not valued enough either. That's why I ask that a lot. It's never because the coach from last year or 2 years or 3 years ago, because at this point you're you're just learning different things. But your part, your development, I find in general, like when people,
yep,
everybody I speak to, there's always that coach. There's that coach
yeah,
in
yeah,
the youth that really hit them.
100%.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your journey. So we know you're from Vancouver. We know you're Canadian. You have played one game for the national team, correct?
Yep,
You aspire to get back, and I can't wait
yep.
to see you back. So tell me about your whole career from when you started to now, where you've been, and just like a summary, a little
A little,
bit for little things you've had. I'm sure you've had ups and downs, so give me those ups and downs,
okay.
and that people can know you a little bit better and your journey, because sometimes we look, people look at players and say, oh, they're just all easy or they live a good life, but you know
Yeah.
what? It's not always exactly like that.
No, yeah. I mean, like you said, I grew up in Vancouver playing locally for my, soccer club, ended up in the Whitecaps program. And even from there, it was growing up, I wasn't on the provincial teams up until under 16. And then I finally made it into provincial teams. So, there was a lot of guys that I played with and competed against that were considered better than me for most of my, life up until I was about 16, 17. And then when I got into the Whitecaps program, kind of progressed my way up till I was 19 and out of high school. And at that point was trying to earn a first team contract. Was training with the first team regularly with the MLS squad when I was 18, 19. But they thought, you're not physically ready enough. And so they wanted me to try and go to school down in the States, play NCAA soccer. So I went down to the University of Kentucky and spent 3.5 years, 4 seasons at that school, and had an unbelievable time there. Grew a lot as a person on and off the field, and I think it was super key in where I am today, because I think a lot of guys sign for their local clubs when they're young, and it's comfortable and easy, and after a few years maybe some things don't go your way, and all of a sudden you're out of contract and it's hard to find something else. So I think for me it was a bit of tough love not being given or not earning a contract at that age, but I learned a lot from going away to school, and after school I got my first call up to the Canadian national team. Didn't earn a cap in that camp. Went to the MLS draft, didn't get drafted after having been a first team All-American in college, and then tried to go on trial with the Chicago Fire, went through a whole preseason with them, only to be released on the final day. And at that point, I was back home in Vancouver, sitting on my butt, going, "Hold on a sec! I just went through a great 4 years at Kentucky and did really well, and here I am without a professional club, and so that was a tough time." But eventually ended up at the RGV Toros, which was an expansion team in the USL, a feeder club for the Houston Dynamo in the MLS. So I spent that year pretty much just going back and forth between Houston and RGV.
Were you playing at the?
I played 14 games for the RGV team. So I came in April, ended up starting in May. So I kind of came partway through, and then obviously with the affiliation with Houston, they would sometimes bring a goalkeeper down to play, but beyond that, I was playing the rest of the games. And then training semi-regularly with the Dynamo MLS team, which was a great experience. There's a great goalie coach there, Paul Rogers, fantastic goalkeeper coach. And so I spent that year there, and then I signed with the Ottawa Fury in the offseason and spent the last 3 years of my career playing in Ottawa. For 2 of them, actually. One of them I pretty much just sat on the bench or watched from the stands. So, again, it's not all, sunshine and roses. I played every minute of every game in 2017. And then the next year was pretty much the third string keeper. So, again, that's something that, what can you really do about that? I let in some goals and I got taken out, and that's not my decision. You know what I mean? So I had to deal with that, figure out how to, still try and better myself in a year where I wasn't getting regular game time. And luckily, the next year, a contract came from Ottawa, and I came back, and I was able to play 36 games again. So that kind of shows within a 3-year period within the same club, the highs and lows, from playing every minute to playing a couple games to playing nearly every minute again. So very thankful for my time and the experience I had in Ottawa. And then now I signed for Pacific FC in the Canadian Premier League, which is an exciting opportunity.
Yeah. Just sucks that like how this virus and this pandemic that's going on sucks because I'm sure you were really looking forward to playing in the Canadian Premier League. You're going to play against a lot of players that we played with the past, and but it is what it is. So how are you training on a daily basis?
Yeah, so basically, obviously, like you said, it's unfortunate. There's a lot of, worse things in the world right now than us not being able to play soccer. I think you can agree with that. So, our worlds kind of revolve around that. So it's tough for us to not be able to be involved. But daily, we get workouts from our strength and conditioning coach and from our club that we have to do on our own and within isolation, whether that's doing that in your own home, some parts of it, or, going to a secluded park or field when the fields were open, and just, social distancing and avoiding, contact with people and outdoor surfaces. So trying to stay fit that way, trying to maintain no gym, no balls for me. So it's difficult, but again, everybody's kind of in the same boat right now. So
and it's difficult, especially as a goalkeeper, I find, not being in contact with the ball for that long, and not, getting on the ground and just doing like physical exercises. It's gonna be a challenge, I'll call it, when we get back to a pretty long vacation, right? Like the reality is, you guys, you don't stop ever. You're always even in your off season. You're always doing something. Right?
Oh yeah.
And now it's stopped, right? So it's complicated for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So now to finish, now we're gonna talk about NBA a little bit.
Oh, NGA. There we go.
Okay. So what are the gloves that you? I took a guess, but what gloves do you like? What gloves have you been wearing for the last year?
Mostly I wear the NGA Venture, but I also wear the 4 Legends only.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 kind of go-to models.
Yeah. So you like gloves that no finger saves, very lightweight. So I have a couple of models here to show, so that you can see the new model. This is the all black one.
Jeez, look at this sneak preview.
Sneak previews.
I don't even have those, guys. I don't even have those.
You don't. And then this year we actually made them in 2 different colors. So this is the second one.
Yes, these are the ones.
And then, but the cut's different, a little bit different on the back. But they're still
it's like rolled on the index and the pinky?
Yeah, they're rolled fingers here, and then they're negatives here. So that's the only change. That's the only change from these.
Yeah, I really like that roll on the pinky and index.
Yeah. And then the new Venture, we're gonna have 2 different colors. One, you've seen it already, but there's this one that people haven't seen yet, which is this color.
Yeah, that blue is so nice. So that's like the black and red model from last year, right?
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. So it looks the straps been corrected because we had some problems with the strap last year being too long. So it's a lot smaller now, and that's what it looks like.
Yeah, they look unreal.
They're really nice. And then lastly, this is going to be a challenge for some people that are used to wearing specific things. But the studs are actually not going to be like this. They're going to be we're going to have the mixed studs and firm ground studs. But the quality of the cleat is like top notch. And these, you'll give them a shot, and then you'll let me know how they are. Everything is a little bit away right now because we do produce gloves are all made in Pakistan, and right now it's getting really difficult to ship anywhere in the world because the ports are closed.
Yeah.
And all the cleats, soccer balls. This year we decided to introduce new products, soccer balls of different ranges, cleats, and that's all made in China. And production stopped for a long time there. Everything is back in action now, but there's like 3 containers full of products ready to leave. So we're hoping that this goes by quick and we can move forward.
Yeah.
Everybody get back to work. Everybody get back to things because it's important for everybody. Because right now everything's stopped. All our distributors are closed. Nobody's selling. It's
Yeah.
not.
Well, nobody's selling. Nobody's playing, right? Nobody's.
It makes sense, right?
There's just nothing.
Yeah, I just think we have to all understand that social distancing is very important.
Yeah.
And people, stay. Unfortunately, you have to stay away from each other, and those little things that people like to do. I really want to pass this message. We're giving up things that we love to do, right?
Yeah.
And if we don't all do it, the longer the recovery is going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel it's important. So last thing, Joe, let's try to see if somebody's going to guess your hand size.
Who's in here? 9 people in here. Can you guess this hand size?
Let's see. I'm going to say it in Portuguese. Qual é o tamanho da mão dele? Alguém consegue ver? Are they going to guess or what? We're not answering them, so they're upset at us. Let me see.
We got an 11.
No.
Close. Hey, people think I got. Hey, there. Oh.
There you go.
That's my sister right there. Callum Irving. That's my sister. She probably picked up one of my gloves.
So size 10, right?
Yeah, size 10.
All right. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for doing this, right?
Yeah.
I think it's nice. And I am going to put this up on the podcast, and I've been trying to upload the other ones to YouTube so people can actually see. But it's nice for people to get to know you better, to get to know the athletes better. But he's asking what you win.
You win. You win what?
You can give her your old pair of gloves.
Yeah, exactly. Just go to mom and dad's house and go check. I'm sure there's a pair of old gloves in there. If you send them to me, I'll sign them. I swear. But yeah, no, right. I appreciate you having me. It's awesome to be able to share this time together in this social quarantine time and this self-isolation. It's good to see you, good to talk to you, good to interact a bit with some of my friends and family on here and some NGA supporters around the world. So, it was a great time, and look forward to watching if you got any more coming out this week.
Awesome. Talk soon.
See you later. Bye.
See you later.